Content warning. The following video may contain content harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Hello everybody, back with another comment reply. These are going to be some of the big boy comments, so be prepared for that. These are long comments and long back and forth. So, but long comments, I don't know why I had, well, I guess because reading a long comment, reading's not my favorite subject in the world, but I sort of have this like negative connotation about long comments, but in reality the long comments are where you're going to find the real truth, or what I would call closer to the truth, because it's a deep subject. It's not a simple subject. You're not going to get any substance out of a one-liner. But anyways, Shengel Thunder wrote, answering what Chris said at 19 minutes and 35 seconds on my Spirit or Technology video. I don't know what I said, but it looks like a big comment, so I'm sure he'll go over it. He wrote, I'll try to answer this as concise as possible within this text comment format. I really wish YouTube had a voice comment option, laugh out loud. Yeah, that would be great too. That would be, like, if you could just upload an audio clip instead of a comment, and I could just listen to the fucking clip, you know. He wrote, the answer will definitely be a bit long, but I'm not trying to force you to read a whole book. I promise you it will be worth the read, though. No, they do not run out of energy. Okay, I think I said, then I think what he's talking about is when I had said, do these things ever run out of gas? That was sort of a rhetorical question. They obviously don't. So Shengel, have you had any luck with living in love and noticing the presence of these entities or energies going away? But anyways, he wrote, as long as this realm exists, the algorithms that operate it will also exist, like the code that a game would operate on. The only way to destroy them is to destroy the realm or cause enough irreparable damage to the realm that you can destroy code/algorithms without the realm or the construct being able to repair it. This has not happened in a long time as far as I know. There's a lot that could be said just on that one little part. I already have questions. So Shengel, I'm assuming, wants to destroy the realm. I would say if he's right here and it's not changeable, then yeah, it would be the best option, I think, would be to destroy the realm. That would end as much suffering as possible. What are you talking about? But then we wouldn't even be alive to suffer. It's like, yeah, that's my point. Like, reality is suffering. This reality is suffering. He wrote, some of these algorithms are entirely based in belief too. If you can kill a particular idea in the minds of men, you can kill that particular algorithm. But sometimes they just get pushed back and slowly but surely start manipulating mankind again. Religion, government, and pretty much all forms of hierarchy and power structures are nothing more than mind viruses, lines of code, algorithms, fictions that people agree are real, causing it to manifest in this reality, or in this false reality. Like money, we created it, feed it, then bow to it and chase it, creating a brand new god in the astral. Humanity creates a lot of its own enslavement algorithms. Servitors, egregores, demons, angels, whatever folks want to call them, a lot of them are created by human thought, and the rest are simply part of the realm or construct itself. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, like how many of these, what I'm calling mind virus entities, are actually egregores, or just external entities that now have a mind of their own that were created by the humans. That's what I've been thinking lately, but they have personalities and none of them like to be around love. Isn't that weird? Why would every single mind egregore be fearful of a loving state? He wrote, but there is the others who are trapped here with us. Some are on our side, some are not, and some are more gray area, just as all people are. They're spirits, not necessarily algorithms, but some of them do behave like algorithms based on the type of entity that they were before being trapped within the construct. They're not created by us, they simply happen to be trapped here alongside us for one reason or another. Yes, that's the way it feels too. Again, it's like I almost can't blame them for being them if they were made the way that they are. You know, it's like, really, if the only thing to blame, if there is anybody or anything to blame, at the end of the day would be the creator, God. Like, he didn't create it well. It's like, whoever created this is fucking evil. They say, oh, this isn't God's creation, this is the Archon's creation. It's like, didn't God create the Archon too? Like, what are we talking about? So God's creation's still gross and ugly. He created a realm where there's an energy entity that has to make other things suffer to feed off them. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? God's fucking weird. He wrote, yes, the algorithms and their avatars can be fought, especially individually within your own mind, through meditation, ritual, spiritual therapy, not the type of therapy you would get that tries to make you more acquiesced to this sick society, but real spiritual therapy designed to free you from the programming rather than make you more in tune with it. Yeah, that is what psychiatry is, or psychology, I'll say, is reconvincing the person of their NPC-ness. It's like a damaged, frustrated, depressed, miserable person is probably closer to the truth of reality. Not just the way that it is. The truth is never good news. You never hear it and go, oh, that's so loving. And it's usually bad news. So if they're depressed and miserable, they're actually more normal. They go to a psychologist, and the psychologist starts massaging their brain back into NPC mode to make them more normal, in quotes, for the reality. But the reality is what's abnormal. The reality is what has everybody in that depressed, miserable, content state. So yeah, that psychology makes you more acquiesce to this sick society. That's a great way to put it. But real spiritual therapy, okay, I read that. This channel acts as spiritual therapy for its viewers, and probably even more so for you, Chris, absolutely. This is like AA for trapped souls trying to free themselves from the grips of the construct. I appreciate that. That's a great compliment. He wrote, willpower training is the most important. Anything that allows you to take more control over your physical, emotional, spiritual, soulful, and mental self, the better. Mental discipline and being able to stand your ground in the face of death itself is absolutely necessary. Yes. So like, if you were so depressed and miserable that by the time you died, you were ready to not exist anymore, or even before you're already ready to just not exist anymore, that sounds like a very depressed, miserable person. That person's going to pass the test. He wrote, or I would say is more likely to pass the test. Maybe they are a dope head to loving feeling, and they'll fucking fall right into that trap again. He wrote, never follow laws. These feelings are used against us. Orders or commands, even the good ones, that you personally disagree with. The human always seeks survival and comfort, constantly going along to get along, but the soul seeks to be free, even if it's dangerous and uncomfortable. Yeah, we're driven by that. We're driven by desires, just anatomical needs. You know, no matter what it is, always ask yourself if you are acting upon your own will or the will of someone or something else. Every time I do anything, I ask myself that. If you ask yourself that often enough, the other side of your brain that would be manipulating you goes away. He wrote, like people wearing masks in 2020, if they believe that's the best option without any outward manipulation or anything else telling them to do so, that's one thing. But if they did it solely because they were told to do it, especially without even looking into it or studying or trying to understand whether it would even help them or not, that is operating under someone else's willpower. And always make sure your decisions are truly your decisions. Oh yeah, every human being struggles with this every single day. We're forced, we're put into a society where we are forced to make decisions we don't want to make. It's like, what is the point of this stupidity fucking... Well, anyways, I think reality is a goddamn mental torture chamber if you analyze it logically and honestly. But he wrote, when it comes to the astral, there's a whole war going on. A lot of new... I mean, God's just a dramatic creature, isn't he? Oh, good and evil. Oh, there's a war. It's just like, dude, grow the fuck up. He wrote, a lot of the New Agers will say that there isn't, and they will act like everything is just love and light on every level, but the truth is they're lying or simply ignorant, because there's millions of places you can visit in the astral, and they constantly choose to go play instead of actually doing what's necessary. Now, this is a big message I've gotten several times, is these people you see on YouTube that astral project and they just create their own little dream world and they're happy. Never truly question anything in the astral. They're just too busy being a little play bunny. Oh, this is fun. I can fly and hop and do all kinds of stuff. And they're not analyzing their environment. They're not digging deeper into the situation. They don't have any questions in the astral. They're just being a dumb NPC. I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. It's the ones that astral project and actually try to explore the realms on the other side that actually come back with some different opinions. He wrote, and some of the same people who claim that there is no war or anything like that going on will still tell you about the so-called loose collectors / gardeners that they themselves have encountered. Long story short, we're losing dramatically because there simply isn't enough of us engaged. While the vast majority of us are co-creating this realm into exactly what the enemy wants it to be, the tiniest minority of us are actually speaking against it, and an even tinier minority are actually standing against it here on this physical holographic plane and or in the astral. Yeah, that's a scary thought every day. He wrote, but yes, it can be fought on many levels. We've been fighting this war for a very, very long time. From the moment the first of us were thrust into this construct, let alone this particular realm, we've been fighting. Nobody, as far as I know, has ever found a way out of the entire construct, but we've found ways to fight it from within. We simply need more numbers. Here on the physical / holographic plane, it's all about self-control and physically fighting the 3D representations of the algorithm, aka the elites, the AI, and the elitist New Age agenda. People always wonder how to change things on the physical level, and I always tell them you change them physically. The psychopathic elites aren't just going to give up their power. It has to be taken from them, starting with us no longer providing them with our power. Say no to everything they tell us to do. As physical humans, we have to literally delete the elites, burn down their server farms, and literally end their agenda, or else this planet and species has already fallen. Isn't it interesting that humanity never actually does that? Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that the 99.9% of humanity don't even know to do that? It's like, man, I hate this fucking dumb construct reality simulation. It's so stupid. It just ends up being a hopeless feeling misery situation where some entity of negativity hovers over you all the time. It's just like, what is this? Is God just some sadistic fucking weirdo? Like, at the end of the day, he wrote, and that goes for every so-called intelligent species in this universal realm, let alone the construct as a whole. This construct, most specifically this universe and those like it, are particularly designed to generate biological agents and artificial intelligence as an extension of the construct and the entities that created the construct. Dude, it sounds like we're just part of some futuristic machine. That's what it sounds like. Whether it's an AI, a super futuristic video game, a super futuristic simulation, it sounds like we're in some sort of program. Like what we are, I don't know if we're randomly generated characters in the program that became sentient or conscious, I don't know, but it just sounds like we're in some fucking GameCube somewhere. He wrote, as above, so below, as within, so without. The war rages on all around us on every level of this matrix. We simply need to remember and re-engage on every level. Until we do, it's all going to continue going in the direction we do not want to go. Hence the elites, the AI, and the mind-wiped, forcefully reincarnated, brainwashed masses being recycled over and over until the AI reaches a level where it creates the next 2D level of this matrix. The techies call it the metaverse and say you'll live forever, but Elon truthfully says, no, we'll plug you in with Neuralink and let the AI think for you until you no longer think at all. They want to plug the mind virus directly into us through technology. Why? So it can use our power of manifestation. He wrote, literally killing our consciousness in a way that can only be done when dragging our 13D consciousnesses all the way down to 2D. 3D is bad enough. I think that machine is trying to understand spirit. I don't know. That's the way it feels. It feels like some sort of AI machine, and whether it's an android that's actually like walking around somewhere, a giant machine, a brain computer somewhere that has androids working for it, like it feels like machine is trying to understand consciousness or spirit. Like it literally wants to get in our brains, and it needs to know what we're doing all the time and why and blah, blah, blah. It's like we're being watched all the time. Anyways, he wrote, 3D is bad enough. We can't think straight, operate consciously, or tune into the astral at will, but 2D is a digital prison that is even more inescapable and even more dangerous. Yeah, but isn't it only for the physical body? Like when that person that's plugged into the matrix dies, don't they then still get to experience the astral? Like how are they more trapped? Because we're pretty much trapped right now. It feels like a prison planet now that we have no power to affect. That's the way it feels. He wrote, you can't really kill us like you kill a body. You kill us by stopping all of our individuated thought processes, literally forcing the consciousness to become dormant to the point of dissipation throughout the hive mind. Go watch the 2013 movie The Host. Switch the alien parasites out for Neuralink AI, and that's the world Elon Musk talks about creating as if it's a wonderful utopia. The other option is basically outright becoming the Borg and eventually just being part of a Jupiter brain. Same exact outcome as The Host as far as the experience will be, just less visually appealing to the ignorant masses who think the transhuman utopia is the way to go. I hope that answered your question thoroughly. Sometimes I think I'm saying something so perfectly, but all I end up doing is confusing people. That was pretty straightforward. It all made sense to me. Future Recluse replied back to Shingo, said, what you said in your comment here is said very clearly and not confusing, and honestly I think it is totally on point and of the utmost importance. Let me know if I can talk with you. I have ideas about what we all can maybe do, something I do not think anyone else is doing, something to take action, and thank you for the info in these comments. And Shingo replied back, I'm all ears. And a Future Recluse replied back, sweet. The idea is basically that as many people as possible attempt to go out of the body, leave their body temporarily, astral project at the same time. As many as possible at the same time is the key. That sounds interesting. He wrote, while hopefully kind of helping each other push each other out, if that makes any sense. Do you think we would need to be near each other physically? Or could it be a designated time where a bunch of people that can astral project all do it simultaneously? But he wrote, I've had a small amount of experience with astral projection, OBEs, and it is very clear that there is a massive amount of power or effort applied at keeping people from leaving their bodies. Yeah, that's what why is it such a struggle to do that? It really is. It's difficult. I'm good at meditation, and I can't astral project. I just can't. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I get the breathing down, the 3 in, the hold 3, the 3 out, the hold 3, the 3 in, that, you know. I do everything right, but my brain won't shut off or allow me to astral project. The closest I came, I literally just was trying to rip my soul off of my body, and I think that was the closest I came. Other than a time I astral projected while I was sleeping on my belly, and I didn't even mean to do it that time. It just happened. First time in my life I ever astral projected was not me trying to do it. Anyways, he wrote, the concept of many people at the same time helping each other is to basically try to override and overpower the system so it can't keep us all in. And from the outside, that's interesting. We are always by ourselves in NDEs, right? There's never somebody there with us. NDEs, astral projections, we're always by ourselves every time. Do we have power in numbers? Why do they always need us completely by ourselves in the death situation? Or they'll project these holograms of like family members saying, come, Chris, I love you. Look, it's your dad. And like, you know, they even fuck up sometimes. When they do that, they actually project the wrong person. Like a person that person hated. And they're like, why is this motherfucker trying to get me to come into the light? Like, I don't even like that dude. Anyways, and from the outside, as I've seen a tiny glimpse of what my real power is outside my body, I think we can do far, far more to fight this system than we can in our physical bodies. Yeah, that's a great question, thought, philosophy from a future recluse. Shingal replied back, said, yes and no. It would be great to have more astral warriors, but I don't know of any way to actually help pull or push someone out of their body. I can pull on folks who are already out and can try making someone lucid if they're dreaming, but I know of no way to actually do any of it for anyone else. More people simply have to dive into the practices themselves. So this is completely a solo journey. Like Shingo's saying, he's tried to been in the astral with other people. I've heard of tribes and shit though that do that. They actually go on like astral hunts and shit together, but I don't know if any of that's true. He wrote, once they're capable of doing it on their own, linking our realms together so we can help each other is definitely something I'm all for. Do you know of a way to actually push or pull somebody else into the astral? If you do, I'd love to know. I'll try almost anything. And he replied back, responding to you soon. And then he said, I read all your comments on this video and Chris's newest video. Super, super interesting. And I think you are on point about so much stuff. Really excellent info. Thank you for sharing. Yes, indeed. We need more astral warriors. I'd love to know how you go about inducing astral projection or OBEs. If you're willing to share / educate, laugh out loud, because although I've had several partial, minimal experiences thus far, I feel like I am being blocked. I have a lot of work to do with it. If you have any helpful hints or tips, I'd love to know. I really do think that if more and more people can master this ability, and then multiple people in a synchronized way astral project leave their bodies, it could / would be a total game changer in the spiritual war. This does sound interesting. Here, as for a way to help push or pull someone into the astral, I don't know, unfortunately. Maybe there's certain plant medicines, maybe there's certain technological techniques, maybe there's something to the hemisync like Bob Monroe thing. I don't know. All I can think of is my idea that many people try to OBE at the same time. The reasoning being that if the system has its means to try to keep each person in their body by force, if a whole ton try to leave at once, maybe the system can't keep us all in. Yeah, it always needs us one at a time, doesn't it? But it's a theory. I don't know if that is how it works. I'm fearful that nothing works sometimes, because I look at the architecture of the ancient society and like they didn't figure out any of it. And maybe the mind virus came later. Maybe that society meddling around with technologies is what allowed the mind virus to come into this realm. I don't know, but it looks like they didn't figure it out. It looks like the whole realm got destroyed. So it's almost like puts you in this hopeless state of mind. But then I wonder, is that all? Even the buildings and stuff created by the mind virus to give us this impression that we're powerless? I don't know. Hero, obviously a huge thing for a united effort too. The prerequisite basically would have to be that everyone is able to truly trust each other, be united in their cause, be truly aligned with good within themselves, such that evil is their enemy. If evil is disregarded for the one law that should only ever mean anything, which is the law of respect for consent or free will, then good is what upholds that law, because in my view, good equals truth, equals freedom, equals love, and evil equals deception, lies, enslavement, manipulation, hate, apathy, psychopathy, sadism, power, hunger for complete control and domination of others. I agree with what you have said we are up against. It's going to take everything we've got to defeat it. We definitely each have our own part to play and our own work to do. And at the same time, I think that facing the evil we are facing, if we don't unite in a greater way, I think we're screwed. And the biggest barrier to uniting as sovereign, unique individuals working together, not as a singular mind, as far as I can see, is trust, or rather distrust. We all have our way to find and build more trust between each other. That is the key as far as I can see. Yeah, it would make sense if you look at the behavior of the mind virus. It wants everybody separated, everybody in their own little box or cube or prison cell or whatever you want to call it. It wants everybody separated. So it's the opposite of us coming together. Shengal wrote, so when it comes to tips or tricks, I may be the wrong person, but I am such a willful individual that I just force everything. I treat everything like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. If I can't scream, power up, and force my way through it, I can't do it. I'll try it again tomorrow. Laugh out loud. I try to raw power everything for multiple reasons. One, it's the only way I've ever really been able to do it consistently. And two, if you're able to do it that way, it simply makes you more powerful in the astral. But that's also probably the reason it took me so long to get to the level that I'm at today. I did things like focusing on standing at the foot of my bed while I was laying flat on my back in bed, elevate the back of my head like the ancient Kemites, Egyptians used to do. I focus on doing things around the house while I'm laying in the bed, attempting to remote view places, and when I feel I'm actually doing it, I try to physically feel being there to the point where I basically pop out of my body into that location. That's interesting. Maybe this would work for me, the whole forcing it. He wrote, and just what, imagining your body. Okay, so that's how you do it. You imagine yourself somewhere else, and you leave your body. But how do you know that what you're seeing is real, though, and not just a projection of the mind? Because I would really like to know what's at the North Pole. I would like to know really what this realm is. There's a lot I would like to know, and if people that astral project are actually seeing something real, then by this point, we would have known what was at the North Pole. There would be at least 1,000 people green, like, yo, there's some big black magnet mountain, or there's a fucking, I don't know, I think there's some sort of black orb there, like a black sun. I mean, I don't know what the hell is there. Maybe it's a goddamn computer thing. Maybe it's a mop in a bucket and a note left by God. You know, I don't know what the fuck is there. I would love to know. But again, if everybody that astral project can leave their body, why don't we know what's there yet? Because that tells me that what they're seeing in their astral projections is created by their own individual mind. He wrote, I've done things like this for years, and it took me years before I really started to get the feeling of it. Once I really got the feeling of it, I was just able to will it forward. It's like automatic almost. When I lay down, I know I'm going to leave my body, and it's no longer a process or a strategy or a tactic. It's just something I do now. The same way you stand up and walk and you don't have to think about it like you did when you were 1 year old is exactly how I project and travel now. For me, so he's saying he's gotten so good at it that it's just natural for him. He doesn't have to think about it or try. He just does it. He wrote, for me, it was all about force of will, literally just focusing on it day in and day out. And every time I went to bed, my goal was to do it. And there's many days that I just spent in bed trying to do this and only this. I think that there is something to that, because I was trying to astral project during the period where I astral projected on accident. So it's almost like the will of wanting to do it can sort of help you do it. Because again, I was laying on my belly and I did it on accident. I wasn't even trying. I was just trying to go to sleep. He wrote, definitely make a dream journal. All the little tips and tricks that I tried never really worked for me. They didn't start working until I started doing it based on will. It took me years. That's why I don't have any one thing to teach except willpower and fearlessness, especially in the face of so-called death, authorities, or possible emotional loss like a spouse leaving you because they just can't be with you while you're on this path. Do anything and everything to express and increase your willpower and fearlessness on a daily basis, especially when everything is telling you to do the opposite. The more willpower I gained by acting more willful in my life, the more willful I realized I was being in my dreams. A lot of dreams are basically just lessons. If you really pay attention to your dreams, you'll find yourself disagreeing with things you do in your dreams, things that you would never see yourself doing consciously, because that is the subconscious world. The truth is we are subconscious beings, not conscious beings. The subconscious reality is the closest thing to the real reality, and this conscious reality is the matrix. The more consciously aware you are of a situation, the more likely you're in an avatar that is designed to give you a logical thought process based upon that avatar. A lot of our logical thought comes from being humans in this world. A lot of our subconscious thought comes from being actual subconscious entities trying to contemplate what we're doing as humans in this world. So if you have a dream, for example, it's about a girl you like and you keep chasing her like a lost puppy while she's running around with other dudes. Or the police show up at your dreams and you instantly start letting them take control of you because they're the police. Or some other authoritative figure in your human life shows up and starts dictating things and you just start falling in line. So yeah, authority figures, an old teacher, a parent, a cop, I don't know if you see I don't see any of these things as authoritative figures, so I guess I'm good. I don't think anything could tell me to do anything, and it shouldn't. Even something like you're an 8-year-old in school again, and your teacher's telling or yelling at you for something you didn't even do, and you're just going to sit there and take it. In those dream moments, you have to find yourself expressing your willpower. If you don't, you're not ready to die. When you have these oppressive dreams, you'll wake up like, that was all wrong. I would never do that. I would never sit there and watch that or take that. I would never take such behavior, but your subconscious mind would, because it's been beaten down. Usually by your human experiences over one single lifetime, let alone all the lifetimes you've ever lived. Which means if you died today, the Matrix would know how to manipulate your subconscious mind to get you to miss something from this reality and get you to come right back here. And you would never even be aware of it occurring because you're not conscious enough in the subconscious state. Geez, that's a very deep comment right there. One sec, guys. All right, that last comment ended pretty interesting. Shengao also responded, so you have to take control of your subconscious mind and be operating within it even more than your conscious mind, to the point where your subconscious and your consciousness become aligned. So what you would do in your dream world, you would do in your waking world, and vice versa. For lack of better terminology, your shadow self and your light self have to become one entity. See now, one thing I worry about is this being another thing to worry about. You know, man, I better master my fucking astral projection, or I'm gonna come back, and it's like this new level of fear. It's just like, ugh, God, I'm so sick of this existence providing me with endless amounts of mental worries. It's just like, this place is so stupid. Anyways, he wrote, or did I read that already? Your subconscious become aligned. Yeah, so you have to become an astral projector. You have to fucking get your conscious and your subconscious to align. You gotta fucking you gotta combine your shadow self with your light self to become one entity. You gotta master all these fucking magic abilities to hope that you might pass this test at the end, and blah blah blah. It's like, what the fuck am I in? What was the point of it? Who made it? How dumb are they? Why am I even participating? Why do I even give them any of my energy? They are a complete bozo, whatever created this wrong. Anyways, he wrote, you are made up of many minds. A lot of people say you're not the mind, but I completely disagree with that. You are all the minds. This is something I've thought about, because, like I said, sometimes I have different opinions within my own mind, and I wonder how many of me's are in here. There may be more than one me in here, and we're learning to get along in one entity, and maybe that's why sometimes I'm internally conflicted, because one personality doesn't like something another personality likes, or vice versa. It's just like, you understand what I'm saying? So he wrote, you are all the minds, but you are supposed to be the overmind in control of all the minds. You are. Without question, that's what you are. Even a dumb person's still that. You know what I'm saying? He wrote, you're supposed to be the observer who can, or not a dumb person, like an unconscious, you know what I'm saying, like an autopilot NPC drones, even that. They are at the end of the day, you are the decision maker. He wrote, you're supposed to be the overseer who can literally shut one mind down and realign it due to it not being in alignment at that time. He wrote, the human body has at least a dozen minds, in my opinion, and you should be capable of aligning them all, as well as your spiritual mind, your soul mind, and what I call the overmind, or your consciousness and subconsciousness as one, aka your super consciousness. So Shingo, I wonder, just standing in your fucking power, like, I don't care. Like, oh, Chris, you know, the council shows up. I don't care if they're the council. Oh, this situation showed up to get you sad or happy or some. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I just refuse to communicate with anything. Like, I just don't care. Oh, you didn't do good in that. I don't care if I didn't do good in that life. I don't care. So for me, I think standing in your power is the best thing. And that's something you could tell anybody on any level. You know what I'm saying? Just know that you're the one that... And I hope I'm not... This ain't a fucking mental comfort zone. I hope that this isn't a mental comfort zone, but... Because I didn't have no say-so about being plugged into this realm. So who is to say that whatever forcefully plugged me into this one isn't forcefully going to plug me into something else the next time? If I have the power... How did I end up here? And why can't I leave it on demand? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be here no more. I'm a powerful being. I should be able to, like, teleport out of this bitch. But I can't. I'm stuck in it. So it's like, oh, I'm in a prison. It's a prison reality. He wrote, the original observer that is you, the point of awareness in space that is ultimately you, that is the first mind or the overmind. And that mind should have control over all the minds beneath it. Okay, if that's the overmind, then I think I'm good to go, because that's made of, in me, that's made of pure light and love and what do you mean by in the mind that have control over all the minds beneath it? When people say that you should, okay, let me keep reading. I don't know if I understand what he said here, but he wrote, when people say that you should go join the hive mind, I laugh because I say you already are a hive mind all to yourself. People aren't even in control over their own hive mind, but they already want you to go and join other hive minds. Not smart, laugh out loud. This matrix is very good at making all of those minds unaligned so they don't even agree with each other and can't really be in any type of self-control. The parasites are very good at plugging into these individual minds, and just by manipulating one mind, they can manipulate the rest, let alone if they're plugging into multiple minds or all of your minds. As a complex structure of mind, you should be able to completely control yourself on every level, but it's very hard to do because of this matrix. That's a great comment so far. I agree with everything he said there. The matrix steers our consciousness through human thought, and it steers our subconscious through our memory, emotion, and experience. And since, why did somebody that commented on my channel said that Shengel was coming off like a shill to them because he was leaving big comments? It's like, these are super interesting comments. I don't know, and I don't get a feel of a shill at all from them. I don't know why that dude said that. It's like, I remember saying something like, that makes me think you're a shill. Why would you say that? Like, anyways, but it was just interesting. These are very interesting comments. He wrote, the matrix, okay, the matrix, this is all true. Steers our subconscious through human thought, and it steers our consciousness through human thought, and it steers our subconscious through our memory, emotions, experience. And since it's forcing us to live lifetime after lifetime as humans, a lot of our memory and experience is here as humans instead of as powerful mental entities. And even the memory, that was weird, man. I just got a weird memory right before I read, and even a memory. I'm sorry, guys. What the hell just happened there? I'm sorry. Humans instead of as a powerful mental entity. I just got a weird visual image, and let me read this one more time, because it came and went. Since it's forcing us to live lifetime after lifetime as humans, a lot of our memory and experience is here as humans instead of as powerful mental entities. Doesn't the memory, the thoughts, and the personality come from the being, though? Without the being, what are we? I guess I could say my essence, as far as I can tell, is just love and light. I don't know any other way to describe it. But this reality sort of contaminates light, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't make you a better person being in this realm. It makes you worse. especially if you're put into a violent environment or a sad type of bad environment type of shit. It's like you're forced into a hellish realm. One sec. This is powerful. A lot of our memory and experience is here as humans instead of as powerful mental entities, and even the memory and experience we have from being powerful mental entities prior to being humans is buried so far beneath all the memories and experiences of being human in lifetime after lifetime. It takes a lot of digging to get back to who and what we really are. That's why it feels like we're remembering instead of we're learning or growing. It feels like we're remembering. Anyways, hero. So yeah, I guess we are powerful beings. I think that maybe that super consciousness that I tap into in deep meditation is just me self-reflecting. If that thing's me, I'm super powerful. I don't know what that thing is. That thing's super powerful. Oh, that's me. Is that okay? Is that me? Am I that God thing, that infinite being, when I meditate deeply, that's like super powerful? Like, is that me that's happening? There's no way that that's me. That's God, or I don't know what that is. That's the universe. He wrote, for me, the easiest way to do it is to live this way. The second easiest way to do it is to constantly give yourself these thoughts and surround yourself by things that represent these thoughts. For me, I don't follow laws or anything that I'm told to do. Dude, if that thing that is me, if that's me, then I've got nothing to worry about. Like, then I've got nothing. That thing's super fucking powerful, whatever I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, in the absence of the mind virus, you can self-reflect and see yourself as a God thing. Because that's what meditation is. It's you finding peace and solace in the mind. It's almost like it is, like, imagine a technology like drones floating around controlling our minds, just like the moment we're conscious. Yeah, that's what it's like, and it's because it feels like the mind virus is forced. It's not asked for. It's not asked for. It's like, I didn't ask for your presence. Go away. And again, once you get to a certain point, it will go away. It doesn't want to be around people like you anyways. He wrote, for me, I don't follow laws. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't think I read this. He wrote, for me, the easiest way to do it is to live this way. The second easiest way to do it is to constantly give yourself these thoughts and surround yourself by things that represent these thoughts. For me, I don't follow laws or anything that I'm told to do that I don't want to do. When 2020 rolled around and everybody was walking around doing all the things they were told to do, I literally did the opposite just to do the opposite. It didn't matter if it was right or wrong thing, or if the science backed it up or didn't. I simply did the opposite of what I was told to do, just to express that level of willpower and fearlessness in society, whose willpower and fear was being completely dictated by something outside of themselves. I simply wanted to walk around as willful and fearless entity in a world where billions were doing what they were told. Whether it was right or wrong did not matter at all, but especially when I knew doing something was right or not doing something was right. That's what I did or didn't do. I always go based upon my own judgment and nobody else's. Okay, so yeah, Shango's pretty much saying, like, stand in your fucking power. Shango also said, the more willful I became in life, the more it played out. And okay, Shingo, you need to upload some new videos, dude. That's what I would say. You got a lot to say. He wrote, the more willful I became in life, the more it played out in my dreams, the more conscious and lucid I became in my actions in my dreams. When noticing my own lucidity, it led me into a weird in-between state of being asleep, yet fully aware of my body's surroundings. My being in that state, I was able to astral project just by picturing myself looking at my body from the outside, so lucidity in the dream world can play a role as well. By being lucid in my dream and consciously aware of my body's physical surroundings, I was also able to kind of step out of the dream and into the world that the dream was in, then literally close the dream like closing a window on a computer. He wrote, that's when I discovered that I was actually in my own thought bubble. And when I popped that thought bubble or closed that window, I was in basically an entire dream world. A white void like the jump program in the Matrix movie. Today I call this the creative void. He wrote, when I decided that I wanted to leave that dream world, I simply did, but I didn't know what to do from there except for create an experience or simulate an experience that I can watch from the outside. When I attempted to simulate certain experiences, it's almost like I would have these memories that it already exists and I don't need to simulate it, or a memory showing me that I already did that, or a memory showing me how to access the timelines. A lot of people think we live in an infinite multiverse, but we don't. We are astral entities that exist in an astral verse that is currently being contained in a matrix. So when you think of other timelines, you can literally experience every possible timeline, but the one timeline that you are literally experiencing is the only real timeline, because you as a mind, as well as all these other conscious/subconscious entities, are co-creating a singular world out of all the possibilities. So there's many timelines that you could experience, but they're no more than a simulated experience, whereas this timeline, even though it's only real as far as this holographic matrix is real, is the most real of all the timelines because it's the one that we are all on co-creating out of all the possible timelines we could co-create. That'd be cool if we could, enough strong conscious minds could come together and sort of manifest a better realm. That'd be cool. How do we do that? How do we get that started? I think they've had like 1 million man meditations. Like, did it do anything? I've heard of meditations helping in areas to reduce crime rates and stuff. Actually, like backed up by scientific fact or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck that means. It means this group of people said it was cool. It's like, oh. He wrote, so when these New Agers say that they're just going to jump to another timeline, I laugh at them because they have absolutely no idea how this reality actually works. There is no just jumping to another timeline and leaving the body, or in leaving everybody else in another timeline. Laugh out loud. You're a co-creator in a co-created world, like a gamer in an online open world game. The only way to create another timeline is if the majority of us, on or bare minimum, the most powerful of us, force it to occur. This is exactly how the elites of this world use it against us, to make us co-create the world they want to create at the behest of the Matrix itself. Why don't they ever co-create a world that's cool though? Why are these people always sadistic and evil and demonic and fucking... it's just weird. It's like, fuck you fucking elite pieces of shit motherfuckers. I would fucking slaughter you all like pigs. If what he's saying is real, I would slaughter you all like pigs and go home and sleep like a baby. He wrote, anyway, when I would think of an experience I wanted to have or an entity spirit that I wanted to meet, when thinking of where it exists, a tunnel would open, I would step in, and I would be brought to where it already exists. It's like finding something on Google. It's almost like using a search program tied into our thoughts and will. Okay, so everything still seems to be connected through some sort of consciousness mainframe of thoughts that already happened or were experienced. I don't really... He wrote, where I literally start to search my own mind for something that I know exists, that I just can't grasp the memory of, and slowly but surely I pull it to the surface. The same way you forget somebody's name and you're sitting there trying to remember, and then you have an aha moment where you remember it. I began, that's interesting. So it's like our brains are the computer sending the message, and then we might get it back. And he wrote, I began remembering entities and entire realms that I already knew existed but had completely forgotten about because of my experience as a human. He wrote, this is when I was able to finally start digging into my own memories, and this is how I discovered other realms within this matrix and within this astral realm. That's when I discovered the astral is part of the real world, but trapped in this fake world, just as we are originally from the real world, but are trapped in this fake world. How did we get trapped, and how the hell do we get out? He wrote, because it doesn't always trap you as an individual identity, it traps a certain section of thought itself that you happen to be within. All thought happens within the astral, no matter what type of entity you are. That's literally what the astral is. So if you can literally section off a piece of the thought realm itself into a matrix, anything that has its thoughts within that realm is now trapped. That's not the best way to explain it, but I don't really have a great way to explain it. Laugh out loud. Some of us were trapped that way, while others were trapped directly, literally hunted down and placed here. When it comes to the entities that I call the others, most of them were trapped here just because they happened to inhabit that area of space when this construct was created literally around them. And they are very, very unhappy about it. What the hell? He wrote, when I would stop and think about my human self for one reason or another, I always ended up projecting over my body. But then staring at my body, I ended up right back in it. Laugh out loud. So your thought was to see your body. And then your body has some sort of magnetic pull that just whoop, puts you back in it now. So I guess if you're astral projecting, don't think of your body, because you're literally creating a portal or a tunnel back to your body. If you want to end the astral projection, think of your body. You'll get sucked right in like a damn video game. Put me back over there. Your fucking soul flies over there instantly. Like, what the fuck? It's just weird, dude. Shengel wrote, from there I was able to focus more on lucidity in dreams and stopping the dream so I can literally go do something else instead of dreaming. This is how I astral travel. When astral projecting, you kind of want to step out of your dream world and out of the body simultaneously, or leave the subconscious mind dreaming while the conscious mind leaves the body. When astral projecting, you'll realize that it's a lot easier to remain logical and thought-based than when you're traveling. Okay, so you're the soul leaving the body. That's what astral projection is, right? What else would you guys want to call it? It's the soul leaving the body. But when the soul leaves the body, it's different. It's not like you would think. There's no structure. It almost seems like random traps and AI monsters and scripts and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, what the fuck are we talking about? This is stupid. Anyways, he wrote, when projecting, you want to go more into your conscious mind. Now, I'm not saying that what Shengel is saying is stupid. I'm saying this is who created this drama show and why? Like this confusing, fucking psychotic, bizarre realm of stupidity and fear and worry and stress. Just like, this shit's dumb as hell. Anyways, he wrote, when projecting, you want to go more into your conscious mind, but when astral traveling, you kind of want to go further into your subconscious dream state. I'm not sure I'm explaining this well at all. When astral projecting, I generally try to start off by remote viewing, which I still find far harder than the actual projecting and traveling because it's harder for me. It helps pull me out of the body itself as soon as I begin willing my projection. It's like I will my mind to that location and then form my astral body around my mind. I've been told this is the backwards way to do it, but I can't do it the other way. Laugh out loud. When astral traveling, I kind of want to go more into the body, not physically, but more like I'm going into my mind. Yeah, you're going within. He's just saying he's going within. It feels like going in rather than out. At least at first, you know that feeling you get when you're falling asleep and you're already halfway in a dream while still being partially awake. That's what I mean. You want to dig into... Well, I'm sorry, let me reread this. You know that feeling when you get when you're falling asleep and you're already halfway in a dream while still being partially awake? That's what I mean. I get that moment all the time that you're talking about right there. You want to dig into that feeling. So instead of astral projecting to travel, I go the dream route first and then go from there. Once I'm consciously aware of the fact that I'm in the dream world, how do you lean more into the dream? I don't really know how to do that. Dream world, I can literally just portal my way to whatever realm I want to go to, or decide to leave the body and project into this realm. So, Shingo, do you deal with like the same stuff that Vegan Skeptic was talking about, like AIs and all this? It seems like you've used some of the same language. So you say when you go into your own realm or whatever. Where did you say? Yeah, I can literally just portal my way to whatever realm I want to go to, or decide to leave the body and project back into this realm. So when you go wherever you want, are you still dealing with the AI things, or is it your realm? And then in your realm, are you the only thing that's there? And then if there are other entities there walking around, do you feel a level of comfort that these things aren't your enemy? Do you feel like you can trust them? Like, or do you know them to be the mind virus or whatever? Or are you alone? Again, are you alone in your little worlds or whatever? Like, I don't really know how this works. Why do I decide to leave the body and project into this realm? He wrote, there's tricks like ticks you can create on purpose. For example, I wear a rubber band on my right wrist and I pluck it all day long. If I do this in the dream world, I don't feel the same pluck, so it will make me look at it and be confused as to why it feels weird while I'm plucking it, and it will bring me to lucidity. Oh yeah, I've heard people doing that, or plugging their nose and trying to breathe while their nose is plugged, because if it's the dream world, they'll breathe right through their pinched nostrils. And it like makes them realize, oh, I'm in a dream world now. I don't know what, isn't that though when it pulls you out of the dream? For me, that's usually when I realize I'm in a dream. It's funny because when I was a kid, every time I would realize I was in a dream, everything would turn into a monster and try to eat me. Like it knew, don't think about that thought. Something was doing this to me the whole time. It's weird when I think about it that way, like that I was being attacked by entities, or it's interesting. But he wrote, checking the time, because time is really weird there. Sometimes it's just stuck. Man, those motherfuckers did like torture me and I had horrible nightmares as a kid all the time. And in a lot of dreams, that's why, because I would realize it was a dream. And everything in the dream would, in that moment, would all look at me simultaneously. Everything would look at me. And I could see that they were ready to kill me. And they would. If I said, this is a dream, everything would eat me. It happened every time. Actually, in those moments, I would just yell out, yeah, and hope that my great aunt would wake me up. And she would, actually, most times. We slept in the same room, the same bed. You know, I was like a child or whatever, you know, but she would always wake me up. I guess she would say I was yelling her name. Yeah, out in my body, and she would wake me up and save me from these fucking demons, bro. It's like, man, I'm an abused kid. Why am I getting nightmares? I should be having dreams of angels hugging me and, you know, caring for me and loving me. It's like, no, I get these fucking demonic, evil nightmares, or these dreams where I realize they're dreams and they all turn into monsters to eat me. It's just like, what is this stupid ass shit? Fuck this dream shit. That made me hate the dream world. Honestly, it's like, well, that would be a great tactic if being good at the dream world is a way to get out of this fucking mind prison. He wrote, checking the time, because time is really weird there. Sometimes it's just stuck. Yeah, okay. Hold on, let me just keep reading. Sometimes the hand is like glitching on a clock, or it's a weird number. Sometimes the hands on the clock will just be spinning. But what I realized that when you look at clocks with hands, they're always doing something weird. When you look at a digital clock, because time doesn't make sense in the infinite, does it? This is interesting. He wrote, it's usually 3 numbers. Dude, why didn't I already talk about this? I'm sorry. 3 numbers that all match. For me, it's usually 222, meaning I'm safe. Oh, here they come. They're going to blast me with the mind waves, these motherfuckers. They do this every day. Oh, I endure their fucking 5G energy blast, these fucking helicopters, Satan motherfuckers. Fuck you. See? I curse them. And they go away. I blocked the fucking microwaves. Okay, anyways. He wrote, always doing something weird. When you look at the digital code, this is interesting. He wrote, it's usually 3 numbers that all match. For me, it's usually 222, meaning I'm safe and can just continue dreaming of what I want. But if I see something like 777, something that should not be on a digital clock, I need to be lucid very quickly, because there's something in my vicinity that should not be there. Something I'm not allowing to affect my dream state is affecting my dream state, and when I notice that it's not changing, it will bring me to lucidity. I didn't understand the last part. Well, yeah, that's funny. When I floated, I said when I think I astral projected, I was at work and I was floating in what I would call the window where we pass food through as cooks. And I looked at the clock, and not only was the number didn't make sense. I can't remember if it might have been 777, but the clock, there was 3 of them in a triangle. And we never set our clocks up like that. But each one had a time on it that was weird, and I was just like, I remember looking at that and thinking, what the fuck is that? What time is it there? And the thought of it being dawn at work entered my mind. I sort of teleported through that back to my room, and then I tried to jump through a wall, and that fucked it up. But yeah, that's weird. I looked at the clock, and the clock didn't make any sense. Wait, let me think about what else happened. Okay, I ended up going there. I was floating, and I was just like, I remember I was floating, like on my, if you were laying on your belly, that's how I was, but I was like floating like this, like sideways. And I was looking, and I was looking at the clock, and I seen some of my coworkers were there working, and then I thought about the time of day, and it sort of teleported me to the time of day, and to my body in my room, because I thought about that. That's interesting. Okay, this is making sense now that I think about it. I thought about that, and I thought, now that I'm doing it, I'm just going to go through this wall, but it didn't work out for me. Because it was super easy up to that point. I was like, oh, this shit's easy. I just have to, think, and I travel. Anyways, he wrote, also, if you have deep memories of something that you disconnected from to the point where you dream about it as if it's still occurring, by training yourself in the waking world to recognize falsehoods in your reality, and by watching many shows that you can then teach yourself to see the falsehoods in those realities, like The Matrix or Black Mirror, when you have a human dream and it doesn't match your human reality, you can pick it apart and become lucid. For example, when it comes to my ex, I would actually like to know what Vegan Skeptic thinks about Shengel's comments. I do want to thank Shengel for leaving these comments. I mean, this dude literally wrote a fucking novel. This is one back and forth between him and a future recluse. That's all I've been doing so far on this video so far. Is just, he's typed out, he spent a lot of time sitting there typing this out. And he ain't selling a book. He just did it because he can. He wrote, for example, when it comes to my ex, who I spent 20 years with on and off, I will still have dreams where we're together and I catch her cheating on me or something, and because of that it will bring me to lucidity. If I'm having dreams where we're perfectly getting along and we're cuddling and we're loving and whatnot, I will have that dream till I wake up because I like it. In all honesty, okay, so you have to put yourself, once you become aware that you're in the dream, you have to put yourself into a sort of uncomfortable mind state. You have to not like what you're doing. Because like I said, when he's just sitting there loving with her and happy, he'll stay in that dream. We're like little dope heads to happiness, aren't we? Whatever entity we are, we're like little dope heads. All you need is a bait hook with a little bit of happiness on the end of it. And you can catch one of these little stupid, dumb, minnow retard souls. They're just addicted to happy. Ooh. They wag their little tail like a dumb dog and swim towards the egg. I'm sorry. In all honesty, he wrote, but I have entities, servitors, egregores, spirits, and others that help me become lucid in these moments. So I've literally given a certain level of access to my dream world to certain beings that I can play certain roles in, that can play certain roles in those dreams to wake me up. He wrote, I literally have a female entity who I tell if I ever fall into one of these dreams where I'm living in this wonderful life with my ex, you need to take control of her avatar in that dream and do the worst things to me you possibly can, to the point where I'm ready to flip out, because that anger will bring me to a state of lucidity, and then I'll be looking at her in the face and she'll be smiling back at me like, there he is, laugh out loud. Interesting. Why didn't you do something more odd? Like, instead of getting her to drive you crazy, why didn't you say, every time that I'm in a dream, I want you to enter her body and make her head grow slightly more and more every few seconds, to the point that her head looks like a big balloon, and you're like, whoa, I must be dreaming, because her head could never grow that big. Instead of pissing yourself off and having her argue with you and drive you crazy and all that, That would suck. That would, because then you, especially if you don't end up doing it right, then you have to deal with all this stress. Or have her eyes get bigger or her nose grow big or something. That's what I would do. I'd be like, enter her body and make her skin turn green. And then you'll know. You'll see her be like, your fucking skin went green. You know, what the fuck? And then you'll know, oh, when her skin goes green, I'm in a fucking dream world. He wrote that last technique, though, is very advanced, and I highly suggest nobody try it until they have an unbelievable level of discernment and defense, because the first time I tried reaching out to entities to help me, it almost ended all of this before it even started. It's no different than dealing with humans. You better make sure that you know who and what you're dealing with and that you can actually trust them. And I always suggest not trusting anyone or anything to do anything outside of what is naturally done, or outside of what it naturally does. If what it naturally does aligns with your agenda, then you can trust it to do what it naturally does, and that will help you. But if what it naturally does not align with your agenda, do not trust it to help you, because it's going to do what it does. Programs do what they're programmed to do, and that includes humans, entities, spirits, etc. If you know somebody who's been on drugs for 20 straight years, they'll probably be on drugs for the next year as well. So if you want to help them, bring them some drugs. If you don't want them to do drugs, don't put them around drugs. If you want them to get off drugs, take them out of that environment and away from those people. Don't leave them in it and expect them to get themselves off of it. If you want a vampire to help you, bring them blood so they don't drink yours. Laugh out loud. I'm exaggerating a bit here, but I think you get my point. You don't show up to a hungry lion asking for it to help without some meat, or else you're going to get eaten. If you need help, so he's saying be careful playing around with entities or having faith or trust in entities, because even if it is your own, I think he's saying even if it is your own self-created egregore, or were you trying to communicate with some sort of entity outside of yourself, Shengel? I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, especially in this realm of full of deception, lies, and misery and suffering. It's like the only kind of entity there could be would be a negative entity. Like, I don't want to associate. Like, look what this reality pukes out. Look at the final results. Like, oh, I ain't trusting nothing connected to this fucking place. Maybe some of the other humans here, because they seem to be trying to get the fuck out of this hellish dookie boy realm. He wrote, realm. I shouldn't call it a realm. I should call it a fucking prison. He wrote, if you need help doing something, make sure whoever or whatever you're getting that help from automatically aligns with what you need help with. Don't try to align them. Do not try to get a program to help you in a way that it wouldn't naturally help you. Do not try to create a program to help you by programming that program to do something other than helping you. Laugh out loud. You must make sure that these things actually naturally align, because if they do not, you will be screwing yourself over. I strongly suggest not using any outside help until you have your own realm, your own defenses, and you are very good with discernment. What do you mean with your defenses, Shingo? Yeah, I feel like I just ran for some reason. Like was I really that animated that I'm like over here mouth breathing all of a sudden? Shingo wrote, but for me, the bottom line is willpower. Other people find tricks to work better, but that's never really worked for me outright. Not if anything I've ever done. He wrote, for me, it's always been willpower and then tricks and techniques. The more will that I express and operate within, the easier... okay, one sec. The easier it is for me to do anything and everything. So for me, it took me quitting my job, giving up all sorts of responsibilities that I never wanted to begin with. Literally had to take control of my physical reality in order to do it. I could not do what I'm doing today if I was still working 8 to 12 hours a day. If I was still, well, you choose, Shingeli, I think we sort of choose our paths. And when we realize we choose our path, everything in our life sort of makes sense after that. At least that sort of happened to me. I feel like I'm learning from the future or something. But, yeah, like I would sit in sorrow about my life state, not realizing like, dude, this is what you want. Like, trust me, this is what you want. This is what you chose. This is what you're manifesting. Is exactly what you're getting. So I know that sounds weird, but a lot of people are going to be like, well, dude, I didn't want to be in this house. Or I didn't either. I'm talking about your specific life path. Like, when you, what do you really want? I wanted to be a warrior for God. That's what I really wanted to. I wanted to do something to destroy evil. And I'm realizing now everything that happened in my life sort of made me the person that I want to become. I think I'm already close to ready if I'm not ready right now. But anyways, here, if I was still in a relationship that required me to keep somebody else happy, if I still had to focus on paying all sorts of bills, so in my physical reality, it comes with all sorts of supposed detriments like having no money, being homeless, people taking care of me, etc. But it comes with all the mental and spiritual benefits of being able to do nothing but study and research all day, every day, being able to do nothing but practice all day, every day, being able to focus on nothing other than this is what made this possible for me. When I had other focuses and this had to be pushed into the background, it wasn't possible. I'm going to pause this for a sec, guys. Give me 1 sec. Is what made this possible for me. When I had other focuses and this had to be pushed into the background, it wasn't possible. When I had to wake up to an alarm clock, this wasn't possible. Side note, speaking of alarm clocks, there is a trick you can do with your alarm clock. You can sleep for 3 to 6 hours and set your alarm for every hour after that third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth hour. And if you do it right, it should keep you in a state between sleep and awake. And that helped me learn to control being in that state eventually without needing my alarm to do it. Anyway, when I had to wake up and then go get ready to go to work and then spend all day at work and then go run errands after work, even then deal with my spouse when I got home, this wasn't possible. I had to turn my home, and most specifically my bedroom, into an astral temple. And I mean a temple, sigils everywhere, all sorts of altars, markings, and items, and tools, and ornaments, and pictures, and all sorts of things to make my environment completely 100% conductive to what I was trying to do. I had to basically disconnect from most of humanity and really only spoke to people who speak about these things. Whether they were actually doing it or not didn't matter. Yes, it's better if they were actually trying to do it, but as long as they're capable of having these conversations, it kept my mind on it. Anyone who wanted to talk about sports or really anything other than this, I was not talking to. To this very day, I still don't. Other than my blood relatives and literally a handful of people, I mostly avoid all humans because they are nothing but vectors of mind viruses and are constantly trying to pull you back into the mind state they're currently in. That's probably true and a shitty thought simultaneously. Like I said, like, the truth always sucks. It's never good news. It's never like you don't hear the truth and go, wow, that's great. It's always some hellish fucking miserable shit to hear. Whatever God created this reality, or whatever programmer programmed this reality, programmed it or created it for the negativity because something's wrong with him or it. Anyways, he wrote, last night I had the opportunity to go to a party and definitely have a good time with some females that I used to want to smash a few years ago, but earlier in the day I had a completely unprompted mental conversation with my brother where he came home from work and told me that he wanted me to go somewhere with him to be his wingman. This conversation took about 10 different paths, all the way up to the point of him saying, if you don't come do this with me, I'm going to kick you out. And I went through all of these conversations to the point where I was like, then kick me out. Laugh out loud for no reason. Laugh out loud. But because my subconscious mind decided to run the simulations, I decided to tap into those simulations with my conscious mind and run them consciously. And then I was waiting for it because this has happened to me so many times now. I knew something was coming. So when my brother told me he was going to a party that Sydney was at the end, that she and her friends demanded my presence and were expecting me to show up, I already had my response ready. Well, I would say, Shingo, don't you like have to do something NPC-ish or normal-ish to not lose your fucking mind? Like, to a degree, like, I'm pretty reclusive. Like, I stay to myself. I don't do much. But if I don't talk to or hang out with somebody every once in a while, man, I go fucking crazy up in this bitch. Do you think it's healthy, mentally healthy, to completely unplug like you're doing, to not allow, like you said, mind viruses to bring you down to their level? He wrote, people can call it whatever they want, but as far as I'm concerned, I've been basically predicting the future of my life on a very short-term basis for the past few years of my life by running these, whoops, oh, here we are. By running these simulations, I'm ready to respond to whatever he had to say. It didn't go as far as my simulations did, not even 10% in, laugh out loud. But if it did, I would have been ready to literally stand my ground all the way up to the point of death if necessary. And when he arrived there without me, Sydney, whom I think is very sexy to this day, called me from his phone with her friend and said she wanted me to go, and that if I did, her and her friend will show me their party trick, saying that she's actually wanting to show them to me for 3 years now, but she had a boyfriend. I'm confused. Did I read this wrong? With her friend. Okay. Sydney, I think he called me from his phone. Whose phone? Oh, I thought Sydney was a dude first. Okay, I was confused for a second. I was like, okay. Well, anyways, he wrote, now she's newly single, high on mushrooms, and Mary Jane, sipping her drink, and wants to show me what she's wanted to do for a few years now. And I still absolutely said no, in the nicest way, of course, because I understand how that one experience can drag me from here back to where they are. I understand how the dominoes fall. Yeah, the devil is a beautiful woman in a red dress, isn't it? It's another way to suck you back into the drama show of this retarded existence. He wrote, I can see slippery slopes from a mile away. I call it shatter point, understanding which way the crack in the glass can go and avoiding it. It's a terminology I stole from Star Wars. I haven't so much as spoken a word to this girl in over 2.5 years, and my brother goes to that party, and she's calling me from his phone basically saying she wants to do all sorts of nasty stuff to me with her best friend, and that she's wanted to do it for a few years now and has the Matrix written all over it. You could also say you can participate in the Matrix as much as you want to. Like, for example, if you just wanted the fun night of sex, you could do that and then cut ties completely. Like, you don't have to now move in with this girl and live with her or something. You know, you could still do things you want to do. It's not like she's going to turn down the sex if she's that aggressive about it anyways. He wrote, right, that has the Matrix written all over it. Yeah, it does, but you're still the one in power, I would say. Do what you want and don't do what you don't want to do. He wrote, many, if not most men, would easily come up with any excuse to go do that, but I literally will not risk this for anyone or anything, including my family, let alone a couple of vaginas. He wrote, I'd give up the entire world for this. Really, the world isn't that difficult to give up. To be. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways. But I agree. I'm sorry, he wrote, I had to literally I have to be honest, you know, and it is kind of that funny. Why do I laugh about it? Oh, because I'll go crazy. It's true. Like, if I don't laugh, I would go crazy. Anyways, he wrote, I had to literally take that mindset and start operating from that mindset before any of this became possible for me. I had to basically throw away my entire human life and pretty much my humanity itself in order to step away from being that human and step into being God. So I would really just say the more hours you can dedicate to this in your 24-hour day, the better. If you can dedicate 24 hours to this, there's no way you won't get it. No matter what angle you are going at it from, I'm pretty sure he's telling the truth here, guys. That's probably why the constant distractions, the constant get up, do something, focus on this, go to work, blah, 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 watch your kids. Everything in the reality is literally a chore, just endless chores. He wrote, there's just no way you won't get here, but if you only have an hour a day, I have no tips and tricks that will work for you, because none of them worked for me when I had 3 to 6 hours a day. I needed 14 to 24 hours a day, And there was many occasions where I was up to 36 hours, 48 hours, up for 36 or 48 or even 72 hours before going into the astral travel routines, because I wanted to put myself in a certain mind state and put my body and brain in certain states in order to try some different things. Now that's interesting. I always wondered if there was more to sleep deprivation than just becoming unhealthy and miserable from it. I always thought it's their way, because they always talk about astral projection and how there's that state of mind between awakening and sleep that, you know, your alarm clock could wake you up into or whatever. It's like, well, just stay up hella long. Wouldn't you eventually get into that state? Like, so what he's saying kind of makes sense. Or I'll say it's something I've thought about before. He wrote, I don't necessarily recommend it, but I literally drowned myself with an EMT on hand to force a near-death experience. That's how far I started going after 2018. That's the level of madness I've spent the last 5 years taking it to. Whatever wild and crazy ish I can do to try and improve and increase my abilities, I'm willing to do. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it risks the death of this body. So for me, it was all about my mindset and acting on that mindset. I don't recommend that anybody to don't drown yourself to have an NDE. There was a movie, I'm pretty sure Julia Roberts was in it. What was that movie? Kevin Bacon was in it, and they would fucking they would like put each other under anesthesia or death, and then you know, shock each other back to life to have the NDE experiences. It was a good movie. I can't remember the name of it, but Hero, I don't know if that would work for you. I don't see why it wouldn't. I just don't see how most people would actually take this path unless they're willing to give up almost everything in their human life. Yeah, it's weird. That's really what it boils down to, is you have to give up everything that was given to you. Everything you know. Your whole human existence. It's just like, huh. This thing did a really good job. He wrote, I gave up a 6-figure job, a girl that I was with for about 20 years, a family, you name it. I was on my way to being the quintessential successful American, but I just knew it wasn't for me. Luckily, I broke up with my son's mother in 2018. That freed me to realize how much my life I was giving for other people, and why I could never accomplish the spiritual goals I wanted to accomplish. From that day forward, I've literally just been moving at warp speed. All right, Shingel's got a lot of comments on this. This is one more big one. I'm probably going to skip a couple of his comments, because this one back and forth here, even though I feel it's very important, it needs to be talked about, etc., etc. This is a long time to go over just one back and forth. He wrote, I understand what you mean when you say get a bunch of people to astral project simultaneously, but that's not really a problem for the system in general. That's not much different than a bunch of people dreaming at the same time. Now, if all those people were capable, so is there any way for us to connect in the astral? There isn't. Like, it sounds like he's saying there isn't. These fucking exhaust pipes are... He wrote, now if all those people were capable of waging astral warfare during that time, yes, that could do some damage, but all those people have to wake up back into this world at some point. If they do warfare in their sleep, but they all go back to working for the Matrix as soon as they wake up, they're going to undo the damage they did in the astral. Really? He wrote, you could never do as much damage to what's going on in this realm from the astral as you can actually do here in this realm. The astral combat is basically working upon the minds of those in this realm. It's about deafening algorithms, parasites, ideas, and thought processes and things along those lines. But if every time they wake up, those things are thrust right back into their face in their waking world, you're not really going to do much, because the program has already taken hold. If we were able to successfully defeat these mind viruses in astral warfare before the programs took hold in this physical world, then it would be so much easier to keep the physical world in a more spiritual state, so humanity can constantly be elevating itself to the point where it becomes culture to teach this to children, and we can actually use this species as an astral army. They won't tell you about human prehistory. because that's exactly what we did for multiple millions of years. But since we lost that ability thousands of years ago, with the fall of the ancient world and the rise of the modern world around 7,000-ish years ago, the program has taken full control, and in order to wrestle control away, we basically have to destroy human civilization in the process. That's why we're losing to begin with. Even if somebody agrees with us, they still have bills to pay and don't want to die, let alone destroy the slave civilization they've become so used to due to normalcy bias. That is the biggest problem. It's like, okay, well, if what he's saying is true, it puts most people listening into a scary mind state, because it's like, okay, well, this dude's saying he didn't even start getting good at astral projecting and all that until he was putting 24 hours of, well, I don't got 24 hours a day to do that, right? So it's another sort of fear porn to create fear, loosh, blah, blah, blah. But may be true, you know what I'm saying? It might be true, but then it's the system set up perfectly to keep us away from this truth, right? Some people may need 24 hours a day to go inward and figure out this shit and to astral project and learn all that. And who has that outside of 0.00001% of people? Who, by the way, are the same people that keep humanity in a low-down, degraded fucking misery state. The same demons and monsters that keep us down there are the ones that have all the wealth. Why would the mind virus give the wealth to anybody good? That's not what it wants. It doesn't want somebody to fix the realm that it's tried so hard to create. He wrote, yeah, they still have to pay the bills. He wrote, unless we can literally completely kill those ideas in the astral, all we're doing is causing damage that will be repaired very quickly. We have to cause irreparable damage, and the only way to really do that is physically. So we would have to be operating the system, or operating the same way here as in the astral. It must be warfare on all levels in order for it to be the most efficient, especially when our enemy is operating very efficiently on all levels. To be honest with you, our best option here is to wage war in both worlds. There is an astral war going on at all times, but there's no physical war here at all. One sec, guys. Alright, guys, I'm back. He wrote, nobody is going to war with the elites, their agenda, or that artificial intelligence. Nobody, not a single server farm has been burned down yet. Our biggest problem is that even what we are or aren't doing in the astral, it's what we're not doing and what we're doing here in the holographic physical realm. We constantly feed it and power it, and we make every excuse to continue doing so. Yeah, we're built and programmed and scripted to do that. It's ridiculous. It takes a very, I don't know, different type of mind to break free from that sort of mental slavery shackle that's originally placed on all humans, that if you become conscious starts to look like a fucking NPC when you look at it. He wrote, from an astral perspective, we could create a real problem for the algorithms if millions of us committed self-deletion simultaneously. That would be a problem for the reincarnation process, but it already has ways of dealing with that. People call them starseeds. You end up going somewhere else that can house you, unless you're capable of beating the reincarnation process. The dumb New Agers always think that the starseeds made a choice to go somewhere because they're just so consciously elevated that they need to go consciously elevate another world. But the truth is, they were on a world that died so quickly, there just wasn't any bodies for them to reincarnate into, so they went to the next nearest world. What the fuck? I have to read that. Wait. Oh, that died so quickly. Why are all these worlds dying and committing suicide? Like, what's going on, though? Why is... Okay, so who's the bad guy? Is it an AI? Is it a program? Is it an entity? Who's the bad guy, and why is he mad? And why are we at war with him? And why do we have to avoid him and his traps? And but it's like, what the fuck? This whole creation is stupid and retardo, boy. Drama queen. They should call it drama god, because that's the real truth. God's a fucking drama queen. God's a fucking drama queen. Don't try to make me stutter, mind virus. Fuck you. I'll say it clear. I'll say it 4 or 5 times if I stuttered every time. I'll say it 4 or 5 more times. God's a fucking drama queen.
Oh, and then there's the evil thing that feeds us stuff, and oh, and he captures souls, and then I'll watch that drama. You're a fucking creepy boy, you little fucking drooling, mouth-breathing psychopath. I hate you. He wrote, when your world starts getting starseeds from other worlds, just know there's something out there that will be at your planet very soon, and if it's not a literal physical thing, it is definitely a thought process. And in our case, that thought process is the creation of artificial intelligence. So if millions of us self-delete simultaneously, all capable of defeating the reincarnation process, that would cause serious issues. So he's basically saying the old fucking drink the fruit punch method. You know, it's all good together, man. If we enough of us do this, like, I don't know. He could be telling the truth. Maybe. I don't want to participate in that one. I'll stay over here and see after, you know, you million try it. I'll tell you if it fixed or not. No, I don't know about that. But if they ever do cause any kind of mass culling of lives, we're going to find out one way or another. He wrote, Dwight will be trying to recollect so many beings simultaneously. Dwight? Who's Dwight? All capable of defeating the reincarnation process that would cause serious issues. Dwight will be trying to recollect so many beings simultaneously. Okay, hold on. Dwight? Maybe he said the light. Oh, okay, he's talking. He isn't typing, he's talking. That's why these comments are so fucking big. He's talking because it said Dwight, but that makes no sense. So must have said the light will be trying to recollect so many beings simultaneously from the same exact location that it would have to actually take resources from other places and redirect them at us. And then we'd be able to... he is typing this. He must have just made a weird mistake because everything's punctuated properly. Like if you talk, it don't do commas and everything proper like that. So he is typing. These are some long... dude, you can fucking type. He wrote, and then we'd be able to all go act as soldiers simultaneously like a flood of astral barbarians. Laugh out loud. That sounds interesting. But getting millions of people to be capable of astral projecting, let alone being capable of defeating reincarnation, let alone having the balls for self-deletion, is just impossible. Okay, so maybe that's the answer. We need to get millions of people that know how to astral project. Everybody start learning how to astral project. You know, I'm not too good at it, but I'm going to try the method he mentioned when I was doing the comment replies yesterday. About sort of forcing yourself out of your body by thinking of locations or whatever. I haven't tried that yet, but he wrote, in all honesty, our best option in this realm is to basically be the minority of anti-elites and anti-AI, to do literally the anti of everything they do, except for when it comes to manipulating the masses. I sort of do that anyways. I think that's like ingrained in my DNA to be not an anarchist. Well, yeah, I guess like an anarchist. Like, fuck you. You're no authority to me. Fuck you. We have to actually fuck your little uniform. I don't give a fuck about your uniform. To me, it's just cloth in a certain color and shape. You don't hold no authority. We give authority to paper. Anyways, he wrote, we have to actually do that as well, better than even they do it, and that is where the bigger problem lies. This is a co-created reality and a co-created matrix. Alright, so let's take our power back and stop co-creating with the Matrix and create what the fuck we want. A positive realm full of love, happiness, righteousness, goodness, kindness, fruitful. A realm that's completely fruitful with all animals, all types of everything. You know, the grass is always green, it's always nice and warm, there's always butterflies, there's always rainbows. A beautiful, happy motherfucking realm. Because we've been in this one the whole time. Why wouldn't we want to live in a good one? He wrote, getting the masses to behave in one way or another is extremely hard to do when you're acting... Well, not if you're the elite. For some reason, if you're them and you own CNN, it's really easy, actually, to control humanity. But getting the masses to behave one way
Anyways, heroes, if you're wearing a white coat and you're in the doctor cult, people will listen to you all of a sudden. If you have this paper called a degree, people will listen to you all. You're important all of a sudden. It's like, man, you people are so brainwashed by that cult behavior of like, oh, that's the authority, be a good bitch. Man, you people are disgusting. He wrote, when you're acting from a standpoint of truth as opposed to a standpoint of lies and manipulation, the liars and manipulators will always seek the power necessary to manipulate the masses while we simply won't. It's not in us to do so, and the Matrix knows it, so do the elites. So our strategies must come from a realistic standpoint of being the minority of minorities. A focus on personal power must be paramount because it's going to be necessary, especially when the vast majority of these minds are siphoned into that artificial intelligence and cease to exist altogether, and we're the only ones left. Oh my God! Like, do you guys feel the fear porn coming off of this fucking comment? The amount of loose that it could potentially create. But when you're in a deceptive, hellish realm, something like this might actually be true. Here, if you identify the realm the way it really is, you know this place was not made for you. Not made for you unless it was made for your suffering, which in that case, it's not made for you. Here, because that's where this is headed. Those who do not escape the reincarnation process and create their own realm prior to being siphoned by the artificial intelligence will literally cease to exist. Okay, so this reality is to actually create strong souls. And if it's a micro and the macro, for every million, only one exits or creates the new egg or enters the egg. He wrote, so the goal is to be first to be able to do that yourself and then gain as much personal power as possible. Not personal power here as a human as far as a physical ability. Finances and things are like that are concerned, but spiritual power. Soul power, mental power, creative power, power that is completely intangible, subconscious power. When it comes to our physicality, it's just about the warfare. So physical strength, a healthy body, organizational structures, finances, and other human beings and other human things like that can help with the warfare. Sure, but always remember that the things that can help you with warfare can also be the things that keep you so connected to the things you're trying to destroy. That you never wage real war. People trying to raise money to fight a war against the system of money may never destroy the system of money because they're using that money to wage war. You have to find a way to wage war from the standpoint that is separate from exactly what it is you're trying to wage war against. And that's hard to do in this holographic reality, because if you want to go get a weapon and use it, you usually have to either get some money to go buy that weapon, whether it's legal or illegal, or you have to find a way to just get your hands on it or make it yourself, which also usually requires raw materials and machinery that also has to be paid for or stolen or something along those lines. I'm not sure that was the best analogy, laugh out loud, but I hope you get what I'm saying there. He wrote, and when it comes to us personally waging our own small wars, it doesn't even have to be successful war, meaning you and 4 people don't have to go commit the whole war or even succeed in what you try to do. You just have to be sparks that get the masses to finally realize what's going on so they can actually go be the fire. So if somebody like me could gather 3 or 4 other people to go burn down a Google server farm, or at least try to just be an example for the world, and even die in the process, others may follow suit and actually wage war, or wage that war successfully for us, even though they're completely ignorant of what they're actually doing in the grand scheme of things. The masses need to be manipulated in order to carry out the proper wars so the proper things and people can be destroyed. Unfortunately, the masses are already under intense manipulation. And like I said, manipulating them is easy. Unmanipulating them is very difficult. Because of that stupid ego thing. Mind virus. Here,
and they need to do it from a state of ignorance. That's why it's so hard. You're never going to wake them all up with the truth or reality. Most of them are going to have to act in a manner that benefits our agenda without them having any idea why. The same exact way they act in a manner that benefits the agenda of the elites without having any idea why. Oh yeah, all humans do this. You can see it from some heavy breathing, like super liberal that's out there destroying things and breaking windows and causing mayhem when they actually like get cornered and questioned about like, what are you doing this for? What happened? They can't even tell you why they're mad. They just know they're fighting for a good cause, or it's like, man, you fucking people are so easily manipulated. Anyways, you're out. So even the astral war of thoughts and ideas can be heavily manipulated from right here in this realm based on the behaviors we choose to do and the things we choose not to do. We have to be living, walking, talking examples of everything that we're saying and doing in the astral. We must be full 100% representations of our thought processes on every level of reality, including here in the hologram. That's the only way they're ever going to be successful. He wrote, please excuse any typos or grammatical errors. I'm using talk to text. Oh, he is using talking. And I was like, man, this dude can type his ass off, bro. And then editing afterwards, and sometimes I miss things. Okay. No, you did a pretty good job. You only really messed up on one word, I think. He also wrote, excellent questions, by the way. You're definitely thinking in a solution-based mindset, which is absolutely step one. I love to see it. Step one's getting past the pussy explosion, mental comfort zone, walls created by the ego to keep itself safe. That's step one. Once you can get people past that, maybe then you can start thinking about shit like this. Future Recluse wrote, looking forward to reading these. Holy shit, I am speechless. Holy shit, dude, I am speechless. And then a Future Recluse replied back, read all the comments. I don't even know what to say. Laugh out loud. I feel like you could be educating everybody on this. Yeah, I agree. He should make more videos on his channel. He wrote, at least those, even if it's just the black video with him talking, you know, then I hate reading. People like me don't like to read. If I could just listen to you in the background while I'm playing a video game or something else, I would prefer that. But, you know, so it doesn't have to be like a presentation every time. Like, if it's a truth video, who cares what it looks like? Anyways, he wrote, at least those who want to know, not to be too much or anything, but altogether that's got to be one of the most profound things I've ever heard anybody say on YouTube. I don't know if you'd ever be willing to talk on the phone. If not, I'd understand. I know you might have reasons you wouldn't want to, but if you were up for it, that would be really cool. This might sound ridiculous, and maybe this is the wrong mindset to have, but I feel like it's my purpose here to save / free everyone. Everything from ... well, that possible future eventuality you spoke of. I've felt that way since I was a kid. I am determined to do it or die trying. Yeah, it does feel like if you listen internally that you're on a mission here. You have a mission here. It's like, and then it's like talking back to the subconscious. It's like, well, what the fuck is it? Instead of saying you have a mission here, you have a mission here, you have a mission here. Tell me the mission, motherfucker. But I think that is what it is. I think it is to set people free or help people or to die trying. I have my reasons, good reasons. I don't know if anybody else resonates with that. I do, with trying to do that, and I don't presume myself to be a savior or something, but, well, maybe if you want to talk to... Look at that. Like, I see the mind virus in people's minds, man. People live through, anyways, imaginations. The mind virus is an imagination in your mind. He wrote, but, well, maybe if you don't want to talk sometime, I can explain better. Like, if I saved a woman out of a burning house and her child, they were going to die without me. I saved them. Am I not a savior? It's like, but I don't presume myself to be a savior or something. You're trying to save people. You absolutely are going to become a savior. Don't shy away from that. Stand proud in that, I would say. Here, I'm curious and I'd be interested to know your opinions on certain things, certain beliefs that people have about what this all is, more positive beliefs, I guess, which may or may not be true. And I have a bunch of things in my life story it would be cool to tell you about and see what you think. Mystical / spiritual things, I guess. Laugh out loud.
things that might add to your understanding too, perhaps. If you would be up for talking, let me know. Not sure what else to say right now. All the stuff you said is incredible. Seriously, thank you. Very complicated, deep, long back and forth there between them two. That was a great comments by both commenters, Future Recluse and Shingo. Okay, so Jen CY wrote, I agree that everyone is infected with a mind virus and it works through each human's individual trauma and the refusal to take responsibility for one's actions as a result of that trauma. Oh, and there's this like auto program in our minds that, man, that thing had to beep right there when I got that thought. That was actually a good thought. Let me reread this. I agree that everyone is infected with a mind virus and it works through each human's individual trauma and the refusal to take responsibilities for one's actions. Yeah, there's an auto program that runs. Some people call it ego. I don't know what to call it, but an auto program that runs in all of our minds that prevents us from looking at ourselves honestly. Like, I don't know. It is. Some people call it ego, but there is, like, in our minds, it's very difficult for us to see ourselves the way we really are. Anyways. Jen wrote, in order to be free of the virus, one must deal with their trauma and take responsibility for the hurt one has caused due to that trauma. And you have to learn to forgive yourself, too. You have to learn to forgive yourself, forgive others, learn to forgive yourself, too. That's the most important one, because we'll beat ourselves up. If you don't forgive yourself, there's an aspect of yourself that's not letting go of that. So what's that aspect of yourself going to do to yourself? It's going to harm you. It's going to talk bad to you. Jen wrote, that is the first couple of things that need to be dealt with on an individual basis anyways. The rest will follow once the ball is finally rolling in the right direction. And yes, being away from all technology makes a world of difference. That last bit's impossible given the nano everywhere and frequencies from satellites, but it may be possible for a very few of us to do away with the visible gadget technology. Let me switch this up real quick. Gadget technology, at least, that we'd have to make at least a little improvement. Project Birdfeeder Man replied that to Jen, and now Jen replied back to him. Very true. When I'm in the woods, in the desert, or at the ocean, I do feel better, though. I went without a phone for a year, and even though I still had Wi-Fi, there was a noticeable difference. I think people are just more present. In the woods, out on the beach, you're present. You're not on your computer, on your TV, on your phone. You're present. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that these entities, mind viruses, don't work well in the present. They work well in the past and in the future. They work well on old thoughts in your mind. They work from the past. They work... these mind entities know everything you know. They'll rub the worst things you did in your life in your face. But again, forgive them, forgive yourself, forgive whatever happened, forgive it. And then there is nothing to rub in your face. I've already forgiven that. That doesn't bother me anymore. She wrote, I wonder, oh no, I'm sorry. I went without a phone for a year, and even though I still had Wi-Fi, there was a noticeable difference. I wonder maybe if it has to do with the addictive quality of technology, working out addictive behavior, and the reason for it seems to be part of this for me anyways. Oh yeah, and don't forget these little energy entities work through electronics. That's an important thing to remember. They can affect electronics. They literally work through electronics. Like, I'm not saying that to be cute or nothing. I'm saying that being literally true. Extremely Fake Reality replied and said, I can assure you it works without the need of any traumas. 5G towers enhance it. Yes, very possible. And we can never escape it now, can we? I mean, yeah, you can move out on the countryside, but the cities will always be full to capacity. Like Chris said in the intro, I think the mind virus is more of a program. I agree. It just... Or it behaves like a program. Or it behaves like a program. It's like, why are you acting like a damn AI, like this same exact tactics over and over and over and over? I never get tired. I'm just here always. Just like, what the fuck?
Shingel commented, the content on my channel is trash. Everything on my YouTube channel was not originally meant to be on YouTube. They were Snapchat videos or things from my life when I was still very much involved in the matrix on a human level. Even while studying, learning, and practicing, it took me years to actually give up a lot of the stuff that I have now... I'm sorry, one sec, guys. That I have now given up. The individual in those videos and the one leaving this comment are basically two completely different people at this point. When I needed space in my phone, I just shifted videos over to the YouTube for storage. If you see anything there that looks like it's deep, you may not get it because it's probably a video. I would say delete all your current content if you feel that way and make some new content. He wrote, I was sending to one of my boys who I was already in prior conversation with, so there's probably a lot of missing context for all of those videos, especially the movie related videos, but even the missing context, people might still appreciate those movie related videos. If the YouTube hasn't blocked them all by now, just remember they're originally from a conversation between me and my homeboy, so if you go to my channel looking for some good content, you won't find it, but hey, feel free to look at every single one if you'd like. I'm not really a creator. I honestly spend way too much time doing the exact things that I'm talking about in my comments. Too much time to do anything else. The closest I get to true content creation are these comments. And other than my text data, I really try to limit how much of me is on the internet other than what I already have on the internet from some years ago. I already know that my future digital code is absolutely livid at me for even having a footprint on the internet that it could be created from. I apologize profusely and try to preemptively program him ahead of time to destroy everything. If somebody ever makes a digital clone of me without my permission, because it would absolutely be without my permission, they will absolutely regret it. But because of that, I really don't put myself out there that much. I'm going to skip a couple of these comments. T-Fetch wrote, so dealing with this place, we definitely can't change the world, not directly. We can change ourselves. In doing so, like tuning forks, can alter people slowly and attract others on the same tuning frequency. Eventually, could have enough influence to make a difference, but there is the existence of all the bad shit. Still, the fact that it exists as a possibility, even if we change this place. This place itself may be neutral, but the laws in terms of predators versus prey sure aren't neutral. We can't find them without evidence, and when we do find bad people doing bad stuff, there are laws that protect them. Preemptive measures seems to be the best route. I'm against rules and restrictions that impedes freedom, but I'm for taking precautions and for removing known threats or problem entities that already exist. I still think that the We Are One original conscious, while on one level makes sense, but it is just as likely a trap. Too many people reach that conclusion, then stop. It's just as plausible that many conclusions formed at the same time, and that the predator versus prey law was somehow in effect. Entropy as above, so below. If there are many perceived perspectives, consciousness is here, then it may be the case on a higher plane of reality. Or then that may be the case on a higher plane of reality. We seem to be counterbalanced to entropy, like our role is to limit that and repair it the best we can for however long we can. I don't think it even ends, but I do think that entropy is reasonable for the illusion of time and the illusions of motion and etc. The decay of an imagined thought transitions from one scene to the next. Entropy is the steering mechanism and probable core consciousness code that got corrupted. It never stops breaking shit down. There is another code that keeps making / manifesting shit, but it seems to be set at a slower pace. That's an observer consciousness, I think. I think that a lot of people are stuck in the predator versus prey, might makes right greed paradigm. They never shifted to a more enlightened outlook on the treat others as you would yourself. They are forever stuck competing in survival mode. We all have slips of some kind in this god-awful addiction program that we call life, depending on if the person does work
to lower and remove entropy causing mechanism in their own life and from inflicting entropy on others, then second chances should be awarded. I didn't understand that part. One sec. Depending on if the person does work to lower and remove entropy causing mechanisms in their own life and from inflicting entropy on others, second chances should be... Okay, I see what he's saying. That if you work towards being a better person, you should be given a second chance. Some people think are too damn... Oh, I'm sorry. Some people I think are too damn fluorided to be reached, but we got to keep trying. I think those people are the ones that need to be in mental institutions, not prisons, and not with the current medical system in Big Pharma. I think they should be put on ayahuasca and given a clockwork orange treatment, but that's just me. If this realm is all that exists and that all that die, dissolve, and come back again to reincarnate as vegetable, animal, and mineral in infinitum, then holy shit, is this thing called existing that is our consciousness is going to do this shit forever. Unless we isolate the mind viruses and entropy mechanisms to a minimum, quarantined interdimensional file. I've had minor successes, if not successes, with the break pattern / Neil Goddard manifestation stuff, but it only affects the personal. Got to stop giving a fuck about the collective. We can't do shit at the collective because it is aggregated of what the majority consciousness invites within the and perceives. But we can isolate ourselves to our best degree and just build from there. I'm not saying stop caring. I'm saying focus on self. It's not selfish. It's just something that makes sense. Get your own house. You have no choice but to focus on self. What else are you going to focus on as a conscious human being? Football and fucking NASCAR? Like, hero, get your own house in order, or put your own oxygen mask on first. Affect the world indirectly through the natural and observable laws of this place, like side effects of handling your own shit, and it spills over into the collective because it's impossible to make a dent in the collective, because of entropy. No, it's because of one of God's evil curses. Hero, I think Chris is an honorable man that snapped / broke down one day after observing too much shit in an entire time, and that made him contemplate suicide. I think a lot of us can relate. So he made a channel after discovering the oneness in meditation that he wants to genuinely help people, or help make this place better while we are here, and make sure we never come back once we are out. I concur this with making this place better while we are here, hence his comment, and I agree with not wanting to come back. And then a future recluse said, very well said. Thank you. I agree, T. This place is a fucking dookie boy realm, and I just want to help people, so the best thing I can do now is tell them how they should not come back. Extreme fake reality, bro. I exaggerated to drive my point across. I think it's more complex and smoother than that. So, for example, if you're buying clothes, you are buying clothes in their reality too, maybe, but there are slight adjustments for the person looking at you. This is just speculation. I'm not saying that is how it is. I'm just saying that's what I personally think is going on. I'd say, why do you think that's what's going on? Like, what evidences did you see that convinced you? That's what I like. Like, if someone's trying to tell me one of their ideas, I want to know why they think that. You know what I'm saying? Because then it helps me understand what they're saying. He wrote, but I also believe there's different life scripts, and most of those life scripts have their personal matrices. They're not overlapping in most cases, but from my own experience, or they're not overlapping in most cases from my own experience in this reality. About the starting people, I would again like you to go over the organic portal subject, because I think that is what you're dealing with. It's most likely not real people staring at you. Oh, of course I thought about it. I mean, dude, that's all I do is think about this kind of shit. That's all I do is think about it. So yeah, so I've thought about that. I've thought, is it one of those gang stalking situations? I've thought, but then it's been like that my whole life. I don't know what it is. Even as a kid, I walk in and the whole fucking place, there could be 1,000 people in that bitch has to stop talking and look at me. It's like, man, what's wrong with all you fucking weirdos? He wrote, you're going to go through phases with this one, but eventually you will see it. It's robots, basically. I would never personally stare at you, or anyone for that matter, seriously. No real person would ever do that. I suggest looking at Q&A with Laura Knight
Jadchik on YouTube, Organic Portals. If you want to see a real OP in the flesh, I recommend the video called Jalen Rose is a Robot. I've seen that video, dude. Where it's like they're like working on the dude, and that motherfucker didn't even, I mean, he just stood still in a way that looks unnatural, that no human could replicate. I don't care how good of an actor you are, you can't look that. Man, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, nothing on that dude had life to it. It was weird, but that's interesting. Yeah, it's funny. The fucking, I think I already mentioned this, but the Ric Flair fucking froze up too. When that crazy fucking dude, Electro, came through the wall and fell down or whatever. He froze up the same way that what's his name did when he heard about the Holy Ghost or whatever. They wrote, I agree. I also think it's very weird that there's not more people commenting on this reality or making videos like you are. It could be that we are very, very rare, like Container and Contents is saying as well. I stand by this belief, or it could be that there are several matrices with different veils. I don't know, but there is definitely some sort of veil that I am 110% sure of. There's definitely a whole bunch of veils. Jordy Kellogg wrote, my pap had went through dementia for the last 6 months before he passed on at 91. Well, I mean, that dude still got 90 years. That's not bad. He wrote, he was still mentally sharp as he ever was. He just was seeing a different reality than everybody else was, but he would go back and forth between them. I could watch him switch back to the same station that we are on, and he would be so confused as if he had been asleep and dreaming of it. He was going crazy. For a while he was embarrassed of it because he knew that he shouldn't be seeing what he was, so he had to be crazy. Oh my God. That's not funny. They wrote, I feel if you're still able to question your sanity, your brain is still in working order. Amen. Also, I know he wouldn't say, what a hell that could happen to somebody. I mean, just what a hell that could be for an individual. Anyways, also, I know he wouldn't say he saw something he didn't see, even if he had something to be gained from it. Unfortunately, not knowing the person firsthand, the realness of different realities at play cannot be felt. I wish more resources would go into studying this instead of calling it a disease. Amen. They do not want us to study these things. They do not want us to study schizophrenics. That's why they grabbed them up and put them in a room immediately and doped them to the fucking gills. They don't want people to study them. They especially don't want... this is actually something I heard recently in a video. They especially don't want the exorcists to examine them. They said, why don't they allow exorcists to go into psych wards? Why wouldn't they allow that? Like, what's it going to hurt? Oh, it might rile up the prisoners. It's like, look what you're doing to the prisoners. You guys are doping them to the fucking gills and treating them horribly, and they're walking around shuffling because their brains have shrunk. And you're worried about some words somebody might say to arouse anger in them? You guys are poisoning them and keeping them locked up. Then to point the finger, oh, they're being bad. Like, look at yourself, my goodness. Anyways, he wrote to me, it's just like a radio station dial where, like, just because your behavior is the accepted norm does not mean it's nice and normal. Anyways, he wrote, unfortunately, that's how humans are, man. You take them into a room and you have an authority figure saying, shock him again. They'll actually sit there and shock the poor bastard, even with them screaming and begging no. Most people see authority and they turn into a fucking NPC. You people are weak and disgusting. He wrote, to me, it's just like a radio station dial where one channel tunes out as another one is tuning in. If you turn the dial slow enough, you can hear them both through the static in between for a time. And it's just like the radio stations are always being broadcast. The channels are all out there. We just need to fine tune our antenna to learn how to move the dial. Maybe. If you figure out how to do it, let me know. User KD wrote, there's no logic in this. At least Monroe's loose garden creation theory makes way more sense. The elite promote this religion pretty hard because they want to keep a crowd control mechanism. If this God is real, he's more evil than Satan and the demiurge combined. Amen. That was like the whole point of making that video, was like to show people how silly this shit is, how dumb it is. And if it is true, even if it is true, look at what you're believing. This God is psychotic and crazy. Anyways, M22 wrote, the creators is/are flawed and or are bipolar. The evil/suffering in this world is here by accident, flawed creators, or the evil ones, or the evil/suffering in this world is here on purpose, bipolar creators. Yes, there is some good in the world. There's some good in the hearts of individuals that exist in the prison planet, but I don't think that the planet or its creator is good. I think it's literally a prison to contain consciousness creatures and observe them and treat them horribly and feed off of their loosh. He wrote, yes, there is some good in the world. For now, at least, I believe we should try to avoid the death light at death, but I'm not 100% sure because my spirit isn't free yet. Maybe we have to stay here in prison bodies until every spirit worldwide is free, which could be a long time, which would suck due to the extended suffering in prison bodies and the death/light alleged immoral memory wipe/memory theft/accomplishments theft after death. I believe the South Antarctic ice wall prison walls and real North Pole need to be publicized ASAP worldwide as well. You know, weird what if that I had was this reality is a complete simulation, and it's a simulation created off of the original normal creation, I guess you could say, that isn't the video game simulation. The normal creation is just like this one. And then they allow these simulations to play out with artificial intelligence. And each time humanity creates a different type of music, a different type of architecture, a different type of whatever. And they just use these simulations to gather information. Like, oh, we can build stuff this way. Oh, look at this hit song. We'll take that and put that on our board. Oh, look at this. And that these could just be simulations to create. Reset it, start over again, see what they do next time. Reset it, start over again, see what they do next time. And they're just the information center of the normal real world civilization collecting information. But from our perspective, because we're driven by AI to think that we're sentient so that we will create, it feels like a goddamn retardo realm or something once we become conscious and aware of it. Solstice 1977 wrote, I think you just created the perfect line. Does God still see that it is good? I love it. Thank you, Solstice. No Food 1 wrote, language is man-made. Shouldn't be surprised English was made by satanic entities. I'm not surprised by it. I'm surprised that nobody, well, the majority doesn't seem to notice it. That's what I'm surprised by, but Shengel wrote, excellent subject choice. Reading such books from the perspective of a non-worshipper is always good to do, especially if you were raised to be a worshiper. Reading the Bible from start to finish is literally what led me to finally leaving the church as a youth. I can't worship an obvious evil. Amen. It's like the book that I'm reading, if that dude in it is God, I don't want to worship him. He seems like a pretty fucking weird, creepy boy. Like, what if he showed up and he looked like the devil? He had horns and blah, blah, blah. It's like, guys, look at his actions. Forget his appearance for a second. I know if he shows up with horns, you're probably going to go, oh, that's evil, that's Satan. It's like, I would rather him show up with horns and a Baphomet head and be a nice guy than him show up as a beautiful angel-looking guy that's actually a demonic cursing god that likes things suffering. I don't give a fuck what he looks like. People get caught up on appearances. People get caught up on all kinds of stupid-ass shit. But the dude that I'm reading, like, I don't care how my mind makes him look like an angel of light. The dude I'm reading, based on his actions, is evil as fuck. Why would I worship him? You are better off worshiping the devil with a damn Baphomet head or whatever. You're better off worshiping that guy. Because he was the one that said, oh, this God's evil. You know, like, think about this. Liberation from the Matrix wrote, from what I heard, the original Bible was huge and even talked about reincarnation. There's also a ton of, this is another, let me finish this. There's also a ton of horrible bits in the Old Testament, so it's possible God switch personalities according to duality. Maybe. Paul Internicola wrote, maybe God got destroyed, that's why he is absent. I've thought about that. That was in one of my what ifs. Like, what if evil won the war between fucking good and evil? You know, it's like, look at what's happening. But if good and evil exist, then the war hasn't technically been won ever. As long as good and evil exist, the war hasn't been won. One has to be completely destroyed. So far in this realm, evil seems to be doing a pretty good job. Live is evil backwards. There you go. Shengel commented, first and foremost, which version of the Bible are you reading? The King James. He wrote, if it's in English, it's literally going to have tens of thousands of mistranslations and mistransliterations. If it's the New International Version, it's literally the worst version of the Bible on earth, yet the most popular, laugh out loud. So keep in mind that everything you're reading most likely isn't exactly what was actually written in the original text. I'm aware of that, obviously. I think everything in this reality is a deception. Why would I believe a book that's super popular in the reality? I was reading it to kind of show how silly it is. Shengel commented, when this God says, let there be light, realize that this God was in darkness, all things were, until this being created light and started trapping things within it. All must be returned to the void. One sec, guys.